Mary had a little lamb.
The fault. We believe that all men are created equal.
To the magnificent mosaic that is America.
From radio beacon to radio beacon.
I have a dream today.
Change has come to America.
Believe it.
Help is on the way.
Knock, knock. Who's there?
It's a figment of your imagination.
Randi Rhodes Show. Turn up your mind.
It depends on you. Now, Republicans know this. And that's why they're doing everything they can to prevent you from voting. This is one of the only major parties in worldwide that actively tries to discourage citizens from voting. Hey, don't boo. Vote. Vote. They can't hear you boo, but they'll hear your vote. So they pass laws to make it harder to vote. A lot of times, many of the elected officials or the people who are running to run elections right now are suggesting that maybe they would not count votes, nullify votes, overturn votes. But the big tactic that they're going to use, because they always do this, especially in midterms, year after year, election after election, they will try to make you afraid. They will resort to fear. They want to scare the living daylights out of everybody. And most of the time, those fears have a very slender relationship to reality.
Seriously, it is the tried and true playbook of the Republican Party. They have been doing, fear of the black man on the television since television. They've been doing it in modern history as recently as the Willie Horton ads. They did this to great effect, during, presidential campaigns. But now, holy crap, I mean, we're supposed to be afraid of everything except them. And they are the threat to democracy. They are the only impediment we have to the progress that we've been making. And, you might sit there and go, what progress, Randi? What progress have we made? Well, unemployment has gone from 6.5% to 3.7% during Biden's term. It is a record low unemployment rate. Now, more Americans are working today than at any point in U.S. history. Now, I know if I say that Joe Biden created 10 million jobs, some people will say, well, those are just people being hired back after Donald Trump said COVID was a hoax and that he had it contained and that it wasn't going to affect most people and that it was all fine and ivermectin and hydroxychloroquine. Say it, hydroxychloroquine. Remember that? Yeah. That it would just go away and it was going to go away by Easter, then it was going to go away by the end of the summer, then it was going to go away by Christmas, then it was going to, whatever. Okay. So I won't say that that Biden created 10 million jobs because a lot of the jobs that we see coming back online, let's say, are jobs that we had that people left because they couldn't go to their jobs because of COVID. But the real important statement is that we have more Americans working today than at any point in U.S. history. That's a fact. We have the largest increase in manufacturing jobs in this country in 70 years. 70 years. Why do you think that is? Oh, could it have something to do with the Chips and Science Act? Could it have something to do with the Inflation Reduction Act making a huge investment in climate, clean energy? Could it be? No, it could. We got a historic vaccination program in place. Do you understand that 220 million Americans are fully vaccinated? There's about 300 million adults, okay? Maybe a little less. 220 million Americans are fully vaccinated against COVID, and it was free, and it was convenient. And what we saw as a result is a 90% reduction in daily COVID deaths since Biden took office. A 90% reduction. We don't want to talk about that. The largest investment to combat climate change ever. He canceled $32 billion worth of loans for students who were defrauded by guys like, Donald Trump at Trump University. Yeah. $32 billion to people who were promised that if they attended this university and paid for these classes, somehow they would be hired. There would be gainful employment at the end of the rainbow. But it was a fraudulent enterprise. And so $32 billion was returned to those students. $10,000 for every middle to low income student. The war in Afghanistan, although 13 people did die on the last day that we were at war in Afghanistan. The war in Afghanistan after 20 years is over. Not only did he rally the world to Ukraine's side as the Russians invaded this little nation, this little farming nation that grows the world's wheat, but we added 2 countries to NATO, Finland and Sweden. 2 countries that were neutral before are now committed to joining us in the North American alliance. Oh, that's bad, because Donald Trump was saying we need to destroy NATO. Why would he want to destroy an alliance that has served America and our national security interests for 70 years? Why would he want to do that? I don't know. But we passed the Inflation Reduction Act. It was signed into law in August 16th of 2022. It lowers energy costs. It lowers prescription drug prices. It lowers the cost of health insurance for people who are buying health insurance on their own. We made the largest investment in history to fight climate change. We will lower greenhouse gas emissions by 40% in 7 years. It's fully paid for. It significantly reduces the deficit. We have paid down the deficit by almost $1.5 trillion, $1.4 trillion in deficit reduction under Joe Biden. And these idiots are sitting there saying he spends money like a drunken. He pays for everything. And how did he pay for it? A minimum corporate tax rate of 15 lousy percent. A minimum corporate tax rate. He allowed Medicare to negotiate drug prices. He's funding the IRS to audit the richest Americans who cheat on their taxes to the point where you can now see that you can cheat on your taxes for years and years and years and years. Here we are, all these years later, trying to get Trump's tax returns because he defrauded the United States. We passed the Chips and Science Act to make microchips here in America, to invest in our scientific research, our technological leadership, our competitiveness with China. And just this weekend, I'm not even going to play him because he annoys the crap out of me, this Trump thing. But, you know, he was literally saying he had this great relationship with President Xi until the China virus came here. So is Donald Trump admitting that, he literally was friends with a guy who sabotaged America with a bioweapon, and it was unbeknownst to him? He was not standing on that wall? I don't know what that, whole statement of his is about how he was best friends with Xi until the China virus. So there's so many lies in just that one little statement, and it's very bizarre. We were able to do the PACT Act on August 10th to get VA healthcare and benefits for veterans exposed to burn pits and other toxins in our ridiculously declared and waged wars. This was the largest expansion of the VA healthcare system in 30 years. We got the most substantial gun safety legislation in more than 20 years. We were able to say that if you're a domestic abuser, you can't have a gun. We could expand background checks for gun purchasers who are at least under the age of 21. We wanted to fund mental health interventions and red flag laws and school safety. But, the Republicans are against mental health interventions in schools and red flag laws. Don't have time to listen to a live show? Want to hear more on your schedule? Go to randyrhodes.com and buy a stinking podcast.